Hello, everyone, and welcome to our amazing live session. We are so excited to have each and every one of you here. Thank you for making the time. We know that you took some very important and valuable time to join us today, and I promise you it will be worth it. And today, the topic that we are going to be talking about is how can the comprehensive training that is happening within our industry, how can it help to transform this renewable energy sector? And to cover this amazing topic, we have none other than Afonso Farai, who is the CEO of AF Wind Services, as well as our very own Tony Tio, all the way from Renewables in Africa, who will be joining us today. I'm very excited to kick off this conversation because I promise you it's so deep. We're going to be going in from touching from different personal competencies all the way up to the technical skills that are needed for industry leaders, as well as people that are coming into the industry to learn and to adapt. The big word that we're looking at today is adaptation. And so to kick off, we're going to start off with a poll. I'm very excited about this one. We're going to be going into a poll, and it's just 2 questions, and it will soon be dropped in the link in your bio. And we'll be asking 2 questions. The first question that we are asking is, what area of renewable energy training do you feel needs the most improvement in your organization? So we have a couple of interesting, we have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, we have E. Are we talking about technical skills development? Do you think maybe your organization needs more soft skills enhancement? Do you think maybe we're looking at safety and compliance training, leadership and management, or we just need a little bit of empathy within our organization? So please let us know in the chat box. Pour in your polls. Let us know, what do you think is the biggest areas within your industry that need attention, and particularly within the organization that you're a part of. I'll give you some time to ponder upon this one, but I know there's always a pain point within our organizations, particularly when it comes to training. And so let us begin to identify that, and then we can move on to the next question. All right. Okay. We have technical skills development really coming in really strong. All right. And the second question is, how would you rate your current level of satisfaction with the training provided within your sector? I think this is a very, very interesting one because our sector is quite new, meaning there's a lot of training and capacitation that's taking place. And so, to be quite honest, with people that have been in the space for quite a while, what is your take on your level of satisfaction? Do you think it's good enough? Are you satisfied about it? Do you think, you know what, it's kind of working, it's doing some form, or are you really neutral about it, and or just ultimately very dissatisfied? So let us know what you think. Put in those polls. We still have technical skills development coming in very strong. And look, people, there's kind of a 50-50, I'd like to think. So I think I'll just do this for another minute, and from there onwards we can then move on. But I think this is so interesting, looking at the different areas within our organizations that different people, I must say, is quite spread out. And very interestingly enough, something that we thought would, particularly with this webinar, we thought would account a lot, is not. So I'm very excited actually to share this poll at the end. All right, so I'm 30 more seconds and then we can go in. Going once, going twice. And sold. All right. I think we can start, we can close off right now. So what we are looking at is skills development is actually the biggest area that some of you joining us on the call today believe needs the most improvement. And I mean, very well so, because we are in a very technical sector. And so making sure that we have people within our organizations that are capacitated around the technical space is of absolute importance. I'm quite shocked, actually, that we don't have anything around empathy and overall wellness. This is quite interesting. It's a very interesting observation. And for the second question, we have, how would you rate your current level of satisfaction with the training provided in your sector? And we have people saying, you know what, Babala, we are somewhat satisfied. It's okay. we can work. We have a 55%. Some people are 9% are very satisfied, and we have 8 to 18% who are, you know what, we're neutral about it. And somewhat dissatisfied is also coming in very strong. So these are very interesting observations to make. I think I'll also share some of these results with you guys so that you may see them as well. I think we're actually quite good to close off this poll, but this is a very, 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 very interesting observation. So thank you guys so much for participating on our poll. And I'm quite excited, actually, because I think because within this particular webinar that we have, we're going to be touching on the technical as well as the personal competencies that come alongside with training. So thank you everyone for participating. I think also getting your aspect and your side of the story helps us to also see how can this particular webinar today be of value to you. And so I'll be sharing the agenda for today, and I'll love to give you everyone a warm welcome. And next part of the agenda is
Can
Can
you see the agenda? 1 second. I'm just gonna show.
Yeah, sorry, I think it cut.
Yeah, does it come now?
It should be popping up right now. There we go. Got it. Got it. Thank you so much, Tony. I love that you're making a cameo way before the time. So we had the topic introduction, and this will be covering the topic introduction as well as the poll, which we just covered now. Then we have our first speaker coming in, which is Afonso Farai, all the way from Wind Services. He'll be doing a presentation, but also we're going to be touching on some interesting questions, particularly around our sector. And once we're there, we then move into Tony, none other than Tony, who will be guiding us through the sales aspect of things. And then we have our speakers. We'll be opening up the floor to you, because as much as we are sharing value today, I think this is a collaboration of knowledge. This is a collaboration of knowledge, because at the end of this, we would like to say, what is the next steps? What are the next steps? So as to answer the question that our topic is posing. Then we have some of our speakers concluding, and our exit survey, as well as a wrap up. I'm really, really excited for this, for what we're going to be delving into our conversation today. And I think at this particular point in time, I will open up the floor and introduce our guest, Afonso Farai. He is the CEO of Wind Services, and he has had over 2 decades of experience within the energy sector. He has been through it all, and because of that, we truly believe that with his experience, with his expertise, he will be able to share with us, particularly today, what are some of the important aspects, and also how do we begin to holistically, when we're talking about training, how do we begin to holistically encompass this conversation and answer this question? And so, Afonso, we'd like to give you a warm welcome. We welcome you to the stage today.
Hi, Babs. Thank you very much for that. Hi, everyone. So nice to see you all again. Afonso Faria, CEO, owner of AFF Wind Services. The company is busy now for a couple of years, for more than a couple of years. Myself, I'm active in the business since 2006. So I've had a good walk in this business from all the way from servicing to installation to management consultation. So I've been around. I've been traveling also for a lot of years now. Most of my life is traveling. In fact, at the moment I'm in Finland, and I'll be in Finland for the next 5 weeks as well. So that's traveling, but that's part of my private life also. Although I'm Portuguese, I did not grow up in Portugal. I grew up in to me the most beautiful city in the world, which is Rotterdam in the Netherlands. That's where I grew up. That's my city. So it's just part of me. Being away is part of me, I guess. And yeah, looking forward to have a very interesting conversation today, and a discussion towards technical, but also towards training, because I think that is something towards training that this industry is going into, and we need to be able to support that and grow with it and make it grow as well.
Thank you so much, Afonso, for saying that. And I think just within that introduction, you've shared some of the realities that come with the sector that you're in and thriving within the sector. I mean, 2 decades, speak for itself. And now beginning to work with the team of people and growing a team of people as well, who can be of value in the long term within the sector. I think one of the things that we would like to know is, in AF and your wind service company, how do you guys look at, what is the approach that you guys take on holistic training? What are some of the aspects that you've come to approach and that you think are important to consider and gaps to cover when catering for training within this particular sector?
Yeah,
especially considering the emotional and the development use and the needs of professionals as well.
Yeah, so the needs of professionals and what we've seen, and like myself and like the guys that I hired, which have a lot of years of experience, and we come from an old school where we grew up in the industry, if I may say so. So certification and certain trainings and certain skills that we have, but they are not certified yet. So we are restructuring all of that, and that's also one of my biggest concerns and investments, is make sure that we all have the latest demanded technical trainings. But then what we do with AFF is we have I actually have a weekly catch up with everyone individually. And I have also a weekly 1-hour session, sometimes 2-hour session, training session. And I do that internal within the team. And these sessions, they can be over everything. They can be about specific tools that we need to work with. but they can also be like last week, we had a session about how to properly or in a better way construct emails, communicate with each other, communicate via email, communicate on site, and so on. So what I try to do is I try to approach everything that we need to deal with out here, but also the personal level. How are we actually? How do we deal with certain personalities, certain personal dramas that we have sometimes, some personal issues that we have sometimes, and how do we then deal with maintaining a good posture and a good approach on site and a good progress on site? So that's the way I'm doing that. I'm focusing on doing that, maintaining that contact on a weekly basis. Always available, but the always available has its catch also, because sometimes it's just too busy. But I do make time in my agenda to go through that, and we make sure that we talk about it, that we train each other, that we share knowledge between each other.
Absolutely. I think that's really powerful, especially when you begin to think about the personal aspect. I think as much as we have, people that are driving this industry, but the first point is that they are people and they have emotional needs. They have, as you were mentioning, there's personal experiences that make up and oftentimes then influence the outcome or the output. And this output is oftentimes reflected within the work that they do. And I think there's something about when someone walks hand in hand or alongside of you and sees you before they see the means to end that you can provide. And I think and as you have done and used some of those tools, whether this is the kind of the facilitation that you do on the weekly basis with them, what are some of the things that you've then identified that, okay, this is a response to this personal need, whether this is kind of, and how have actually two different generations responded to this, both the new people and the young people that are coming into the space, as well as the older generation. What are some of the gaps that you've seen? Because I believe that these two generations, there might be a difference in how certain things are communicated to them.
Yeah, there's definitely a gap in mentalities. There is.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of the older generation, and including myself, and including some processes that I needed to learn myself also about not jumping the gun and not just going out there and do the job, because that's what we are used to. That's what we grew up with. So by being present here, exactly. And if it's not done, then I mean, I have my own guys. I have a couple of my own guys that, and I can see that now looking back, that they've actually grown towards that, was being more calm and seeing things from a different perspective, because we have that tendency to jump and do it straight away. From the younger generation, if I may say so, younger generation, what I realize is that, and what I realize, and I see that sometimes I'm out here, and of course I'm managing, and the guys are doing installation supervision, and sometimes they don't realize that I've been there. And so what happens, and I see that sometimes, is when we're actually talking about issues, and they have problems, and they're talking about the technical issues, and I actually advise them, then they listen up and they feel like, oh, you've been there. But yeah, I've been there, so I know more or less what I'm talking about. And then you can see that, because what I see the difference, the biggest difference between older and younger, if I may say so, is that the younger generation it's more looking for an answer that is already given, or looking for an issue that is already there is already a way to solve it. In the older generation, we would just just go into and try till it got solved. So one is maybe impatient, the other one is maybe too much patient. And there is a gap there, and it's not easy. It's really not easy to join everyone, all the personalities. Just a couple of weeks ago, one of my managers, he had to jump in between two guys because they were not fighting each other physically, but emotions were heating up. And that's personalities, and sometimes it's not only personalities. Sometimes it's also stress that comes from home when they travel out, and that's built up, and they can't they can't get rid of that. And then the smallest thing, the smallest frustration at the job, that creates then, it's like a ticking bomb that triggers then a whole reaction. So what I do with my guys is I try to make them understand that sometimes it's better to listen than to be out there and talking too much. But yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but we are trying really hard to overcome that.
To overcome that and to answer those gaps.
Yeah.
That's honestly absolutely profound, because I think what you're showing is there's something that back in the day we used to call intersectionality, and this touches on the different layers of someone, the different layers to a being. I am a woman, I am a mother, I am, there's different intersectionalities that then begin to not oftentimes define but influence how I then show up in the world. And you've touched on, personal capacity, you've touched on emotions, you've touched on age gap. And I was once at one particular point in time, I was moderating this conversation, and one of the panelists said, "You know what, Babalwa, we have found that within the sector that we are in, let's say particularly what you just touched on, the age gap, the young people that are coming into the new space. This space is not sexy, in the sense of the sacrifices that need to be made, such as, being away from family, such as, I mean, you know very well, you work with wind farms, having to be away from family for extended periods of time, how that also may begin to affect emotions, etc. With such sensitive topics, family issues and loneliness, particularly among engineers, frequently spending time from home, how could you share, how you begin to address these less spoken about realities, and how do you think they begin to impact the well-being and the performance of the team? And then, as AF services, what do you guys do to oftentimes counter those?
Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting because you touched there on something that there is the I and there is the me. It's just a short. It's something that I was studying the other day for myself. There is the I, what I am, and there is the I, what you see. There is a very big difference in people, and we all have that. We all have our internal I, and we all have our external I. So, and in here we have not only the being away, but we have different nationalities, different cultures. I've been working all the way up here in Finland and actually in all the way North Scotland with the South African crew, and it's we're all the same flesh and blood, but the cultural difference, and if we even within Europe we go from north to south to east to west, and there is such a big difference. So that plays a very big role. And then we need to learn how to work together. We need to make a team to work together, and that is the most complicated. But what I see, and I've seen it for many years, and I've seen it personally also with some very close friends and relatives that are also in this industry, and something that I've learned very young, at a very young age, even before I was traveling, is we need to accept. First thing that you need to do as a person is you need to accept where you are and where you want to go. Because if you are out here thinking that, and I've seen it all, we're out here for a couple of years traveling and we think, oh, I'm going to make some money. And then in 5 years, I'm going to be back home. I have my own business. First thing I say is, well, good luck with that, because most of the time that doesn't happen anyway. But, but you need to accept. The moment that you accept that you are out there, that you are alone, that you left your family behind, that you left your children behind, that is the moment that you can obviously overcome that, and that's the moment that you can start to work better. The effect that it has on site, and it might be something that is maybe not seen, not visible, is if someone is out here working with heavy machinery, rotating parts, electrical parts, there's a risk. It's a risky business. If someone is out here working and his mind is at home because he just left home and his son or his daughter was crying when he's left, or his wife was crying when he's left, his mind is not at work. And we can have all the implementation on site for PPE, for safe work practices and all of that. But if his mind is not there, he's not going to work not in the safest way possible. And that is when people are more at risk. That is when risks are more, chances higher to get an accident or an incident. So what I do is I try to talk with people. Not that I am out there talking with everyone. I'm really not. And I've said it before that I'm really not that type of person that is out there making jokes with everyone. But I try to, when we do have meetings, when I'm talking with people, be real, and I talk about real stuff, and I talk sometimes even open about my own dramas and my own personal stress. And I see that when I do that, that most of the guys, they react to that, and they react to that in a positive way, because they see that, okay, if the site manager is opening up, on his personal issues, then why can I not do so? And then that's how you start to then build a team and grow together and work together. And because this is such a small world, we are working on a project together, next project or the second next project, we are working together again. And you can feel that bond, you can feel that we can work together in a good way and we can rely on each other. But it's about personal trust. And us men, we don't have personal trust out here. Or it's not incentivized to have that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Afonso. I think what I'm really hearing and beginning to understand is we talk a lot, within across the board, within across sectors. We talk about service. We talk about that, my personal favorite line, I'm here to serve. I believe my purpose is I'm here to serve. But I think in that same breath, in the same breath of service, there's an element of sacrifice, and this sacrifice comes in many different, ways. Some people, or within the sector, are not necessarily far away from home. It is some people are not away from home, but there is an exchange of some sort that's happening. A sacrificial exchange that is happening, and it looks different across the board of what that particularly is. And as we're touching on that, with the different aspects layered onto who someone is, then again touching onto the different sacrifices that they make within their respective lives to come and serve within their field. What is a little bit it told me that you guys have training programs that you do, that begin to effectively bridge the real gaps, within the industry expertise, whether this is risk management or strategic decision making. Can you touch a little bit on that for us?
Yeah, so especially when it comes to risk management, that's something that I'm developing also to help make it easier to make decisions. Not make it easier to make decisions, but to help have a tool that aids you to make a decision. But on risk management, and that is again, it goes back to communication and to having a tight bond between everyone. Also, what important, we need to feel as a family. And when we say as a family, we need to, like you said, I'm here to serve, but we have to be careful. We say that when I say as a family, we have to be careful saying that also, because like personally, I come from a broken family. So I cannot say, I have my company as my own family, because then it would have been a broken family. My company is,
okay.
My company is actually as a family where I enhance and I push for everyone to look after each other. So share ideas. And then the risk management is really about when we get together, we talk about certain topics. How do you deal with that? 3 weeks ago, we were talking about how you deal with, sometimes we feel like we're not being respected or that we're being stepped on, but we need to take a mature decision not to escalate it, right? So how do you deal with that? And we just had an open discussion about how to deal with that. How do you deal with that? And then people react, and that's also something that you live and learn. But people react to your own energy. So if you come to a stressful situation, or you see someone stressed, and you get stressed as well, then it just escalates. That's something that I am trying to train. You cannot really train, but to show my guys, the people that is around me, remain calm. Sometimes it's better to remain silent. You may be boiling inside, but remain calm.
Yeah.
And think about what you say. So it's really all about people skills, people management. Instead of budget management, people management. Which needs to be on high priority as well.
Man, I think it's as you showing, it's a technical industry, but it's run by people, and people are complex. complex, and complicated. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what makes the joy of possibly being able to say, you guys are my family. And I don't know, I think there might be an age gap there, but I don't know if you know Fast and the Furious, whether you have this guy, I forgot his name, but he's always like, for the family, and they're driving these fast cars, but he's emphasizing and family can look different across, different companies. And that's why we have these brand, we whatever the case may be, that particular company says, we are family, in the sense that we prioritize, the upskilling of the people that make this what it is, that make this company what it is. It's run by people. And so when you begin to see the people, there's nothing like being seen. I think when you're seen, you then like, oh, look, you see me. Oh, I want to even pour more because I'm validated, I'm seen. And that validation can just be someone like you just said, understanding the different complexities where you come from, but it can also be that empathetic, or that, okay, this is how you can approach this differently. I've been there before. I understand where you're at right now. But man, this is very, very profound. And I think we've really thank you for going there and sharing that it's as much as we serve, but there's a person who's serving. So how are we nurturing the person? And I think this is a beautiful opportunity to then.
It's a little bit, sorry to interrupt you, but it's a little bit,
Yes, absolutely.
and we forget that as adults, we forget that we've been children. And when we do have children, we forget that it's a little bit in managing companies, managing teams. Sometimes within a big company, you can have your own small team and you can make that small family. And it's like children, and it's what you put in is what you get out. So if you maintain that calm, that proactive teaching and learning, also that's what you get back as well. If you're surrounded on a birthday party with children and you are hectic yourself, then it's going to be a hectic, chaotic birthday party. But if you
So
are in a
true.
cheery mood, then everyone is in a cheery mood. But it's the same with emotions. If you teach your children, I'm not an emotional guy. I try to. This is all personal things that made me to not show others what I feel, because I just feel bad that way. Anyway, if you show your children, like with my daughter, she knows that if I say I'm upset, it's because I'm really upset. But if I say that I am okay, that I'm fine, that I'm happy, that I love her, that she's done a good job, then I also mean it. But also when it comes to emotions, if I show that I'm sad when I'm leaving, she'll be sad. So I don't show that. And she understands that. And now she's growing and she's okay with that. And again, she accepts it. She accepts reality. And she knows this is reality. So, and that's something that we could all maybe work on.
Very powerful. Very powerful. We're talking here about a bridge, right? Or a spectrum, rather. The other spectrum is not taking people's, whether it's feelings or emotions or personal experiences or whatever the case may be, into consideration whatsoever, and saying you are in a means to an end, produce. And the other extreme part of the spectrum is, I will kind of validate all of your emotions, even at the maybe expense of reality itself. And so the question is then, how do we begin to meet at the center? And I just love a comment that came in from Pat. Thank you, Sis Pat. And it says, how do you take care of the people so that they can take care of the business? And when we begin to balance these two spectrums, end of the spectrums really well, we can then begin to either produce a training that will speak into the different aspects of these people. So thank you so much, Afonso, for just the depth of going there into the depth of us, our complexity as human beings, and meeting us and meeting also me at that point with this conversation.
Just one small final comment
Absolutely, jump in.
on the comment from Pat. So yesterday I was doing an interview, a job interview for some other works that I have upcoming in Portugal. And I was interviewing the person, asking, how are you going to pay? What are you going to pay? What's included? Because he got the job offered and it was good money, but then he needed to pay everything himself. So the traveling, hotel, everything. I don't do that. I refuse to do that. I refuse to do that. I would rather, I tell them straight up, I will pay you less an hour, But I take all the risk. I take care of your hotel, your traveling, your cars, whatever, because I don't want my guys to feel like they're out there abandoned. My team knows that if they need anything, and even when they're flying, if they lose a flight, they can call me, and within half an hour they have a new flight. There's no talk
True.
about, it's going to cost you money, it's going to cost me more money. Why did you lose it? I don't care. We just need to travel. It's all about taking care of your people. Definitely, it's about taking care of them.
Powerful.
If you take care of people,
Powerful.
they will take care of you. That's 100%.
Powerful. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Alfonso. And as we're closing off, you're making me think about oftentimes businesses or business people or companies worry about what if we upskill these people? What if they leave the company? But if you serve people, they'll want to in turn serve you back with the skills that you've shared with them. So just the depth of this conversation. Thank you, Alfonso, so much. And I think this is an amazing opportunity to segue into our next guest. If I can please introduce Tony Rio. Everyone on this platform is very much familiar with him. Is very much familiar with him. Ria is all the reason why we are here today. So we thank you also to you, Tony, and the rest of your team for creating this opportunity to touch on very profound topics such as these. And so, Tony, I would love to bring you onto the stage.
Wow, it looks like it's my time. Can you see me?
We can see you. We can
Well,
see the wind services behind you as well.
exactly. It feels so relaxed actually to come, after Alfonso, and also you have moderating. Usually I'm the one doing it. But I'm a little bit scared because that was so powerful what Alfonso just said. I think I almost was cheering. Yeah.
Moved.
Yeah, but I need to show that I'm a man, you see. No, jokes
I
aside.
love
Anyway,
it.
carry on.
Love it, love
Yeah.
it. Tony, thank you so much. As I said, thank you so much for creating this platform where we can have such powerful, moving conversations. And I think I would love for you to just have some time to just share more about actually I would love to ask the question also. I know that this is it's a bit different, but this is a platform that you created and you continue to do. We've seen your consistency and just throughout the sector, and I always come back to this. But I would love to share if you can just answer very briefly, and then maybe in there also do an introduce yourself. Why did you feel like it was important to create this platform?
Well, I think
this platform.
No, that is a great question. That's a great question. And in fact, to me, I created this platform because when I started the job, right, I realized that obviously some time now, because I think I'm getting younger, put it that way. On the other way, on the reverse. So when I started this job, I realized that there was still a misunderstanding of what the industry is in terms of renewables energy, right? And as I always say that joking, it was almost like people were having the feeling that they can order or they can actually collect a solar plant, from a supermarket, right? So it was that kind of mentality. So, and it was like this to me, it was like, so okay, so how can you actually sell a product, that people don't even understand? So you need to first of all make sure that you put some education in, educate your customers so that they can better understand what you're talking about, and then they may be interested by you what you're offering. And as I was doing that, obviously it was a question of, but how can you do that at scale? Because I've always been thinking in terms of scale, especially if you're looking at, I know there's people from various part of the world here, and that's how we wanted this conversation. Because training is actually a global, worldwide, as opposed to just a localized, but we can have localized training as well, obviously. So it was a question for me, how can we do that at scale and talk to many people at the same time in different places? So then I got the idea, obviously, of creating renewables in Africa. And to be quite honest, as well, so my wife helped me to tip me the idea there. So, and I started that as a blog, right? Because I didn't know. And then it's because as I started that, I could see people were getting interested. I would write an article, explain to people what is a solar panel, right?
What is a solar panel? We all just found out 2 years ago, Tony. Nobody knew.
Yeah, but we needed to go to such granularity, right? Because I think people forget, and I think even me sometimes I forget that at the start I'm actually an engineer, so I'm automotive engineering, right? So, but it was a case of when you explain to people, you need to explain so that even a child would understand, but you need to breaking it down. And once people get this understanding, now it's becoming easier to tell, okay, here is now what I can do for you. So that's actually what gave me the idea. So in short.
That's very powerful. That's very powerful. And thank you for it. It's working. We are all it's working. It's working. And I think because of that, kind of forward thinking also, and I speak for myself also, having come into the industry with the social sciences background and coming to an industry that's very technical and being like, what the, where do you start? And you were actually one of the people that started that journey for me in terms of learning and grasping these small little things that end up over time helping you understand the bigger, scope of things. And within there, I would love to know from your side, and just given your experience now with RIA, how can the renewable energy companies better market themselves and stand out? Because it was competitive, but now it's becoming even way more competitive because of obviously the new transition that's coming alongside, and also just everyone else awakening to the idea that you awakened to, which is just how much value there is in this industry, especially when we have more financial backing into it, more innovative ideas within it.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great question. So I think I have some interesting stats I want to share with you. But before I go there, let me just tell you a little story, right? So I think
Yes,
there is
yes.
a gentleman that I know, which obviously
Mm.
left his job, his company, because he wanted to jump into renewables. And
Yeah.
obviously he started opening his consultancy, started
Mm.
approaching and working with some people looking for some project. I think he
Mm.
was struggling a little bit, but he got a little bit of traction, but not a lot. But what he found out actually is, oh, listen, there's so many people out there. Okay, the industry is still small, it's still growing compared to other
Mm.
industry, but still, there's many other people he got to compete against, and people that are even more
Mm.
experienced than him. And all of a sudden, he start thinking, oh, how am I going to do that? Yeah. So how am I going to actually
Mm.
stand out? Because I
Mm.
can't just rely on me being good and people just gonna come in. It's one thing to be good, it's another thing for people to know that you're good. You see, and even people to even know you. So
Mm.
then he start thinking outside the box and say, hey,
Yeah.
okay, let me just start and do something else and maybe tap into social media, right? And use
Mm.
everyday the technology of today's to start obviously popping up. And I'm sure if you've been listening carefully, that story is just my story.
I
Exactly.
know. I'm gonna be so familiar. Is that
That's
your
actually,
twin?
yeah, that's actually my story. And maybe I think and when I respond to that, like I said, I'm really coming from an engineering mindset. It's important for people to understand that
Mm.
because there's a lot of engineers there. So and
Mm.
sometimes as well in this industry, we're suffering from what I call the savior syndrome. I think people listen to me before they heard me say that. Because we know that what we do is good for the planet, we always get lazy. We believe that okay, it should sell itself. It never. It's still a business.
Mm.
And a
Mm.
business, if you don't get your target audience to know that you exist, you're nobody. You can have the best service in the world, the best product in the world.
Mm.
If you don't make sure that they know you, they see you, then
Mm.
but once they know who you are, they understand what you do, all of a sudden you find yourself with people interested by your service, your product, and now you can go on. So that's
Mm.
actually that's why I always say everything starts by visibility, as cheesy and tricky as it
Visibility.
sounds. I like
Mm.
and when sometimes when I talk to people, they say, "Okay, I don't know how to do it." I say, "Hey, everybody knows how to do it. Everybody, even
Mm.
when I say they're shy, I can give you an example.
Yeah.
That if I say that everybody needs to do it, remember when you were 6 months old and you wanted to eat, to breastfeed, or to get a bottle. So how did you get your mom attention or your dad attention? You cry, right?
Cried.
That's marketing. That's marketing. So we all know how
Love
to do it.
it.
We just need to remember that, go to that. So let me show you some quick stats in here. So that's that you will see. I know it's a little bit.
No, it's
That's why I
true
like
though.
to
It's
go back
true.
to basic
It's so
examples
true.
to say people we all know how to do it, but we didn't understand.
Mm.
So let me just share some stats which I believe will
Mm.
help you understand what I'm talking about here. So those
Mm.
are
Mhm.
stats coming from reputable organization, right? So
Yes.
I don't have the time to share the sources here, but obviously I'm more than happy to do that in private if you want to.
Yeah.
So basically, sorry, just no. think I just want to go straight to the stats. Yeah, the stats is what I need. Yes, this is what I want to share. So essentially, what we need to know here, just a little bit of, because for me, I think it's an ice dropper. So once you understand that, it gives you a better how to actually proceed. Do you know that actually 2% of sales are made on the first contact? So that means, all the people that you meet, so basically only, if you're very good, usually you would achieve only 2%. So that means
True.
if you don't contact that person the second time, you leave him on the table. And 1% from the mobile, and this is it. This third one is very interesting. 48% never follow up a prospect. 48%. So that means if you are a business now, you say, I want to improve my sales, you don't even need to go and buy any technology. You simply need to get your team back together, your salespeople, and say, hey guys, what I want to do is to make sure that you follow up. It's the biggest technique in the world. 25% of so 25% of all salespeople, they never make a second contact. No one. Here is another an ice dropper. 80% of sales are actually realized between the 5th and the 12th contact. Let me explain. What I mean by contact is every time you get in touch with your potential customer, your prospect. It could be phone, it could be by email, it could be you paying them a visit, sending them a message. You just want to make sure that they remember you. Because guess what? When you go shopping, when we all go shopping, right? If I ask you a question, do you tend to buy product that you know or product that you don't know?
Absolutely, products that I know.
How do you know them? The second question.
Because I've seen them, I've seen people use them. Maybe I've had the opportunity to use them. Maybe my mom uses them.
Okay, so if I talk about, if I talk about phones, buying the phones, which brand will come into your mind immediately?
Samsung.
Samsung. What else?
I hope no one says iPhone.
Yeah.
iPhone. Yeah. Huawei. Yeah.
My question is, do you know there are multiple other manufacturers? But listen, how you already applying a filter?
Sure.
If you don't make it to the short list of the customer, you're already losing out. So the first job for you is to make sure that they know who I am. So that means they will even consider me. So my question is very simple, people. Why can't you be the Samsung, the Apple of your product or your service, whatever service range you are? As simple as that. This is what we're talking about. Yeah. And like I say, so that means you need to reach it. You need to remember you to 80% of the sales. So if you don't believe me, I think every one of you, I'm challenging you, go back and look at your sales. And your current customer, just reflect how many times did you have to reach out to them before they turn into into customer? Yeah. 79% of all the lead will never convert. 50% who say that they're ready are not ready. Yeah. So and 65% of company don't nurture leads.
True. Nurture.
Once you understand that, you understand where you're leaving money on the table. And the reason I'm saying that, and when I'm passionate to say that within our industry, is because we're sometimes lazy. We think that, I'm saving the planet, say CO2. No, you need to put in that work. If you don't do that, you simply will not be able to sell. And if you don't sell, your business goes nowhere. Simple as that. So my job is to help a green company, renewable energy company, to be as successful as possible, because the more successful they are, the more company there will be, the more people they will employ, and the industry will grow. So that's actually what we're actually aiming to do. Yeah. So I think I've said many things, but let me maybe leave it there and allow you to ask your second question.
Powerful. I think in answering the first question, you've answered my first question and touched on the third and touched on the third. But I think what you're saying there is so powerful in the sense of like, out of sight, out of mind, visibility is everything. How would they know? I don't know if you know that real, but there's something that's so, how would they know? How would they know if they didn't see it? How would they know? And we do live in a world that needs you to be out there. I mean, McDonald's and KFC, are at it, and these guys are, like you just touched on, they are pioneers in the industry, and still they market and still they advertise, because everything in this world is so fast paced. You come in and out of people's minds so fast. And I think you touched on something that is so powerful, and I see is a great connection between the conversation that we're having now about businesses and also the conversation that us, Afonso and I just completed, which is the building of relationships. The building of relationships goes both ways. It's building the relationships with the people within this business, that will help you to take care of it, and then also, and this is the work that you do internally, and then externally, how do you then also build these relationships with the stakeholders that at some point you want to collaborate with and work very closely with. So there's this continuous cycle of building relationships and nurturing these relationships. And they look different. They either look, it's either nurturing the mindset of the people that are driving this vehicle, that is your business, or it's nurturing the relationships that will then drive your impact, which is these businesses and these stakeholders that you want to work with. And I think that is absolutely profound. And in there, I think I would like to move to the question of then what strategies have proven to generate leads, in the renewable space. And I think one of them that you've touched on is visibility, visibility, visibility. People need to see you, they need to see you. And what would you say are other two that are quite important as well for you to be able
Excellent.
to?
I think the first one that you said, visibility. People need to know who you are. Like I say,
Mm.
another way to say that if they don't know you, they don't flow you. Don't you should be dribbling. They need to know you, right? So the second thing I was saying, which is for me one of the biggest secrets of sales, and I'm happy to share that with you. In fact, I'm sure you're going to talk about the mindset training that we want to do for people who are there. That's
Absolutely.
talk about. But the second thing, it's follow up. As simple as that.
Mm.
Follow
Mm.
up. But you need to
Mm.
have the right strategies to follow up. If you do the
Mm.
follow up, like I say, you will increase your sales. That I guarantee. I can guarantee to
Mm.
everybody. Just chasing up, be consistent in following up. But there's different ways that you want to do that. And I would say the third strategy that obviously I would know is also something basic. You just need to understand your stats. For example, so how many contacts you need to make a day to make a sale? So how many appointments does it translate to? So how many presentation demonstrations that you want to do, and what is your closing ratio? Once you know those numbers, and also for every sale that you're making, so what is the average sales that you actually realize? The value, the average value of any sale that you're making. Once you understand that, it gives you some, because data are crucial, right? For me, in our data, in our company, we consume a lot of data. Yeah, so it may not seem like that, but I know a lot of things. So I almost know exactly how many people we're going to turn up to this webinar. I can tell you even. Yeah, so, so data is very important, because when you have that, you can predict. Yeah, and actually, and you get an idea how to actually progress. So that's what I'll say. So visibility, follow up, and obviously know your data. Definitely, and your data, you need to know what data to track. But I've talked here for people who want to know. You want to look at the number of contacts, the number of appointments, the number of presentation, and number of sales, and also understand as well the value of each sale that you're making. It gives you an idea and prediction where you're going to end up at the end of the year, so that you're not actually just guessing.
Sure, that's powerful. Visibility, follow up, know your stats.
Yeah.
Know your business.
Yeah.
Know it inside and out. And I think that's really, really powerful. Because also then everything kind of ties back to the mindset that you have. What kind of mindset are you approaching your business growth with? What kind of mindset are you approaching your team's growth with? It's mindset all throughout. What is your approach that you're coming? If you're coming to hey, I'm just listen, see my work. If that's not enough, I am out. Or if it's, listen, come up, show up to work, do what you need to do, and bounce. If that's the mindset, that will kind of affect the impact and that your business is able to make. I think to close off this question, I'd then love to kind of hear your thoughts also on what some of the Alfonso touched on in terms of the role of mindset in achieving this business growth, as well as sustainability within this green energy sector, especially when we always talk about sustainability and holisticness. I love the fact that we're thinking about it in relation to the business and also in relation to the people. So I'd love your thoughts as well on that.
Yeah, I think again, so without dragging a little bit too much, because I know so Bab, you wanted us to leave a chance as well to the people to ask their question. So feel free to drop your question. By the way, we will be happy to extend the webinar by another 15 minutes, if just to allow people to get questions. So for people who are keen, because I could see people are staying with us. Thank you, by the way. We really appreciate that. Alfonso, myself, so Babaloa, and everybody in the background working. So coming back to the mindset for me is crucial. It's everything. It's really, really for me everything. If you don't have the right mindset, you just can't go. You just can't go anywhere. And basically, for me, you attract what you actually think about. So because for me, it all starts. Everything for me in life starts by a decision. You need to make a decision. Once you now make it, because don't look at the challenge first. They're always going to be challenged. And guess what? For me, the way I look at challenge are a fantastic opportunity for you to get better. Right? So because once you master the challenge, the second time that challenge presents itself to yourself, guess what? You know how to do it. You become an expert now, right? So that's the way you need to be. You need to be looking at that. Everything starts by a decision, and then you want to give yourself a proper target. So what is the target? For example, I want to move to A to B. That means if I want to move to A to B now, what I need to find out is, how can I fill the gap? Yeah. But you can't fill the gap if you don't even have a target.
True.
Yeah. So, but you need to get the target, figure out what is the gap to fill, and that gap you don't need to always reinvent the wheel. You simply need to know, okay, who or what, which company or who has done it before that I can actually approach and learn from the person. That's the fastest way to do. You don't need to do that always by yourself. I can tell you first, me, I sit in front of you, right? But I've gone through a lot of training, and I'm still doing every day, and I have as well a mentor. And that's what when I say to people and say, hey guys, come and work with us. I know I'm doing a little of my publicity here, but hey, why not? I say, well, this is because I see a lot of companies and young companies, not necessarily young for the age of the person or the peoples, but the companies, they don't really understand how business works, especially in this sector. They're a little bit naive, yeah, and they don't want to invest into themselves, into the business. If you do that, okay, you may succeed. It's just gonna take you 20 years. As simple as that. So would you rather take 20 years or would you want to take 6 months? Yeah. So that's sometimes what we're talking about here. So this kind of mindset. So take a decision, give yourself a proper target, figure out what is the gap is, and make sure that you actually work with the right people that can help you obviously fast track the journey. So I'll leave it there. But everything else that Alfonso is saying, for me, is so powerful, and that's why we so proud and privileged to be working with him and the whole AFF Wins team.
Oh man, that's absolutely so powerful, Tony. Thank you so much. Thank you actually to you and Afonso for just going into the depths, and we connect, we see the connection of building these relationships, adding value, both from a stakeholder perspective that is externally out of your business, but also both internally, when you add value and you give value and you share value and your mindset is intentional, and you have a goal that you're trying to get to, whether this is externally or internally, it all works out for the best of everyone. And this begins to inform the training as well. And I think at this particular point in time, we would love to hear your thoughts. I've been hearing Auntie Pat dropping some gems, saying education is the key to change the world. And indeed, that is very true. And I'd love to open up the floor to really anyone that would love to chip in, whether this is a comment or this is a question to our guests today. I think you can maybe raise your hand and then you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah.
So
let's do about 10-minute question, no more than that, because we also want to respect people's time. So we can have a 10-minute question after we can wrap up. So if there is any question, what I would suggest people raising their hand, maybe a little bit faster, so we give them the opportunity to speak. We unmute them, and yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tony.
Oh,
all right.
So
I have
Ayula. Okay,
yes.
1 second. We're just gonna unmute. I think we've given you the opportunity to unmute, Ayula. If you could see that. Yeah.
All right. There we go.
Hello, good morning here. I hope everybody can hear me.
We can hear you very well.
Oh, well done, the team and Mr. Tony. I've always been following you, and I'm equally passionate about the renewable energy industry. I'm from Nigeria, And I want to ask, this aspect that Mr. Tony is handling is actually one of the most difficult parts of the renewable energy, from my own perspective. I mean, sales. So what is the number one most important thing you can advise us to do in order to be able to make a lot of sales in renewable?
So
what is one advice you will give?
yeah, so I think I kind of responded to that already, but I'm happy to come back to that. I would say the first thing for you, okay, no, that I haven't said that yet, but let me say that this is probably the very first thing that you want to do. Very first thing, do the math. As simple as that, because the math will show you the path. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when I think when you're coming up with a business, for example, I want to make $1 million. That's fine. $1 million. You can sell one product that costs $1 million, or you can sell, a product that costs 100,000. You need to find 10 people, and you drop it down progressively. So as you do that, you then figure out, okay, do I know somebody who can give you $1 million? No. Okay, go down. Do I know somebody that can give you 100,000? No, go down. Do I know somebody that can give you 10,000, and so on and so forth. So it gives you already an idea because of where you could start. Let's say, for example, somebody that you can sell $1,000 product, right? Now you now need to just look around you. So how many people like that do I know I could approach? Or how could I actually think I can reach out to? When you do the numbers, it gives you an idea what already you have to sell as a business. Don't say to me that you want to reach $100,000 a year and start selling items that cost $1. So that means you need to find 100,000 people. And to find 100,000 people with a 2% sales ratio, just do the math. So how many you need to reach out to? So that's why you need to be realistic with you. So what is that actually I really want to sell? So what is my closing ratio right now? Then it gives me an idea. And if what you're selling obviously doesn't take you to where you want to go, you now have a tough decision to make. Either I continue with what I'm doing right now. In this case, you may want to revisit the target, or I actually switch and obviously a pivot, as you say in business, and go for something that will allow me to go where I want to be. And it's so important because, like I say, in the sector, there's a lot of us that have, like I said, technical engineering mindset. Thinking about business or sales is a completely different mindset. Completely. Like I say, it all starts by visibility. Yeah. For example, the simple fact that you can even ask me the question today, I have had to put up some work for you to bring you in front of me. And I can promise you it's not an easy thing to do. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Tony, for that.
So do the math. This is the first thing.
Do the math. Do the math. And as I do the math, and as I do the math, Tony, instantly implementing what you just suggested, I'd also like the opportunity to just say that, as Mr. Tio just mentioned, the opportunity to be able to ask these questions and have basically exposure to these kind of the minds and the thinking. I would love to say, at the end of the day, as much as we can hear all this, how do we begin to implement it as well? And with that said, we would love to kind of share the call to action, which is, we know that we can't cover everything within this training session, and there's even more layers to this topic that we'd love to go in and hone in on. And so we do have an opportunity to have a call for everyone who's interested, and would say, you know what, Tony and Alfonso, we'd love to understand and even have more questions to this particular topic, talking about mindset, sales, speaking directly into leaders and how can they successfully navigate these fields. We do have a AF lead magnet, and so we'll just share that in the link below. The team will just share that with you shortly. So if you're interested in this, apply, and then you have once more these two pioneers really going in and sharing their perspectives, and also some of the tips and tricks that you all can use, and also to answer some of the specific questions that you might have. And I think I'll open up the floor again for another 3 to 4 minutes. But I think, Tony, before I go ahead, you can jump in. Yes.
Yeah, I think I was just gonna say we've shared the link there, so that's the master's class that we do, a short one, is 45 minutes only, and we're limited people, obviously. So it's on the 24th of September, then next Tuesday at 11 o'clock, that's BST time, British Standard Time. So you can go there and click in subscribe if you want to do. So we're just going to limit it only 45 minutes, just some nugget there, just to thank you people attending who are interested in that. So we have two questions that we could take, and after that we can look about wrapping up. I have Mike and I have Madidi Malo. So we start with Mike, and Mike and I have a history together because I think we used to work at Ford together. So
Building relationships, building relationships.
Relationship, yeah. So I'm he's using his relationship here to talk. Hey, Mike, we're so happy to see you. Thank you really for joining. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Actually, this is my point about relationships. It's like as Tony knows, I've been a project engineer, project manager. Other people on the call are project engineers. I see in the chat. With wind systems, there has to be an interconnection. I'm sure Alfonso can tell us more about the technicalities of connecting systems that they work for the communities that we're trying to engineer for. So I just really want to pose that really how we connect a relationship between ourselves. We are all professionals in some area connected with renewable energy, no man's an island and all that. So how do we ensure that we keep we pool our wide amount of technical knowledge and systems knowledge and so on, and also go into just a very quick comment onto the well-being side. So I do some stuff on well-being now as well as engineering, because it's important to have that connection between environment and people. Healthy people, healthy environment, healthy world, right? So I just think it just those couple of points very quickly, because I know other people want to come in and just want to say hi to all.
No, thanks for that, Mike. I'm just going to leave you a chance to Alfonso to respond to that, please, Alfonso.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mike. And that is definitely what we see also, and that's what I'm seeing as well. People are happy if they have their minds to their work, and they are automatically working safer. It's a safer working environment. We can implement a lot of things, but if we don't go beyond and look into how people are actually feeling, then we will never get 100% where we need to go. And the industry is growing. There is a boom coming, at least in Europe and in the world. There is a very big boom coming in the industry within the next 6 to 10 years. So we need to be able, as companies, to take that step also and grow and make sure that the industry is safe for everyone, and it's health. There's a lot of work to be done yet as a company. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Alfonso, for that. Before we take your hand, Madi Di Malo, I would just like to say, so after we take Madi Di Malo, we will be going straight into our survey. Please stay for that. We are very, very excited to hear what your take was on the webinar content, etc. And then we will have just closing remarks from our amazing speakers, and thereafter we will wrap it up. And so, Madi Di Malo, can you please take your hand?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is well. Yes. I just want to touch on something. Tony, you were saying you were talking mainly about sales and how we should, attract eco-conscious buyers. But I think right now we need to go further and talk about regulatory and compliances, because now when we approach clients, they're eco-conscious. So I think if we focus on the compliance and regulations, we can be viable towards other business ventures and other business operations. I just wanted to say that only.
Yeah. Let me jump on that, and I agree with you. You're absolutely right. So in this industry we're into, regulation is everything as well, right? It really starts by regulation. Now, where I'm going to add, let's say, complement your response, I'm just going to say that's where I invite people as well to have a wider open mindset. Because for me, selling is in everything. You can sell a product, you can sell a regulation package, You can sell a service. It's about once you know the technique how to sell, you can sell everything. You can even sell something to your wife. because it's trust me. I think I've used that in my wife, right? So
Please
it's
trust him.
about understanding the psychology of the person, how to bring the point across so that the person understands it and buys into it, buys into your argument. We're not just talking about exchange of money in here. This is what I want to say. That's what I'm saying. The program, all of us are selling. You know, if I'm not selling the product, there is something, even yourself, you're selling your CV. When you sell your skills to somebody, that's sales. That's what I'm going to say. And that's why I like us to understand that. Yeah. For me, there are three key major skills that we all need to acquire in life. For me, the number one is sales. If you know how to sell, you will never be out of job because you always need to sell even yourself. The second one is negotiation, because you actually get in life what you negotiate, what you deserve. Yeah. So if you're not happy with what the package that you have, oh, you know how to negotiate that. Simple as that. The third one, it's public speaking. That's the best way of marketing and advertisement, public speaking, because you put yourself into the stage, you're attracting people. If you master those three, you go very far. So that's what I'll say. But coming back to the first one, sell, I always start with that. If you really know how to sell, you sell everything. You sell regulations, you sell solar panels, you sell training.
So true. It's true. It's true. It's absolutely true, Tony. Even we're selling right now a mindset. We're selling approaches. We're selling you an approach, and we're saying that this approach works best because of A, B, C, D. And I think as we transition, we recognize as a culture things that we need to let go of, and that were sold at some point, and things that we are now being sold to implement and take and grab. So thank you, Tony. I think that's very powerful, because it's essentially we're talking about influencing. How do we influence people internally to work together as a team, and how do we influence stakeholders to work together with us to create an impact, because that's what we want. We want to serve an impact in a positive way. So thank you for that profound statement, Tony, because I think it wraps up this conversation so powerfully. Now, everyone, we are going to jump into our poll session. And what is your assessment of the webinar content? But I think you can now read it differently and say, what is your assessment of the webinar that we sold? The ideas that we sold within this webinar. What is your assessment on that? We'd really love to know, because the idea is to get better, so that we can get better also at the ideas that we share and we sell and we influence and with. And so we have that. And then we have our second question, which is, what is your assessment on the webinar format? So did you enjoy the format? Did you enjoy the flow of how we kind of navigated all these important conversations? And the third, but definitely not the least at this particular point, is what is your overall assessment of the event? Was it good? Was it very good? Was it, average? It's not so bad, not too shabby, okay? Or did you have yourself a great time? So we'd love to know from your perspective, just what your take was on what we've shared, with you today. And I think I'll leave it over to you guys to share. But I would really like to take this opportunity to thank Afonso as well as Tony. Thank you for your time. Also, thank you particularly to your amazing input, as well as the audiences. We truly appreciate it. And I think by these surveys are also important for us, because they help us to navigate and to get better and better and better, so that we can truly share things that are of absolute value to all of you. I'll leave that open for another minute or so, and I think we can wrap up this particular poll. But once again, thank you to everyone. It would have not been a very good session without all of you and without all of your input. And I think at this particular point in time, Tony, I think we can close the poll.
Okay, no problem. We can
amazing.
We can
Thank you, guys. Okay, well, clap.
I know that there's one person that said that the event was average, which is good. So please, I'll ask that person. Well, I think it's good, right? So please send us an email and just to let us know what is that you would have expected. So that is also how we can improve and make sure that next time we can get you to the good or the very good.
Absolutely. I think that's true. And I think it's sometimes healthy. Feedback is healthy because then it helps you to also make sure that you, like you're saying, Tony, we can increase in the levels. So thank you also for that level of honesty and vulnerability with us, which appreciate that within this space. I think then I would love to hand over to our guests today. Firstly, I would really love to thank you for your time, also for the amazing feedback from the audiences that are joining us. But closing thoughts, Afonso, I'll share with you closing thoughts, closing remarks, closing comments, and I would love to share, open up the stage to you as well, Tony, on the remarks.
Yeah, so to close out, I'm going to paraphrase what I've just written, and it's that every thought has an energy and it will manifest itself. So it depends up on ourselves, on what manifestation do we want and how do we want it. So we do need to think about what we are doing, what we want in the industry and where we want to get. And the other one is every thought that is written down has more chances of actually becoming reality. So that's my last thought for today. And I will thank you all very much for participating. I'm looking forward to speak with you all next week on the next one. And thank you, Babs. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you so much, Afonso. Tony?
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody participating into the webinar. So as I say, it's really always a moment of exchange for us, engaging with you and getting to know your thoughts. So we don't take it lightly. So secondly, I think don't forget all the good nugget that we shared today, and remember what I say. So if you don't know it, they don't flow you. It's as basic as that, but it definitely works. We're really hoping to see a number of you at the masterclass that we're organizing next Tuesday on the 24th of 11 o'clock BST time. So I'm sure you've seen the link there. So subscribe to that, sign up. If not, reach out to us, and I'm sure we can point you toward the right direction. Last but not the least, I want to thank Afonso for helping us, obviously putting together this webinar. His company AFF Wins, so obviously a forward-thinking company. Putting together the technical, but also the psychological aspect of performance at the heart. He could demonstrate that the way he treats his employees when I was an employee at the time. So I wish I had somebody like him that would obviously look after me this way. We all would want to say that. And but last but not the least, so obviously Babs, so I think you've been fantastic, exceptional, I must admit. I could already announce that we're gonna see more of you.
Absolutely, I'm coming back.
No, you've been exceptional. You've been exceptional. I've really enjoyed that. So I'm sure other people will join me and say that. So yeah, so sign up for the masterclass if you want to. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please leave feedback, and so that was great. Thank you very much for that, guys.
Oh man, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Afonso. Thank you to everyone who's joined us today. Thank you for your time. We truly appreciate it. And as Tony just said, jump onto the YouTube, share some love onto the YouTube sessions. Please don't forget to sign up to that webinar masterclass around mindset and sales. It is profound. And I think today was an amazing way to share the bridge between these two and the importance of that for both your internal company to grow, as well as continuing to collaborate with stakeholders to increase your impact as a business as well. So an absolute thank you to these pioneers who have relentlessly been pouring into the space. With all their personal capacity as well and their personal relationships. Also an absolute thank you to everyone who's come today. I'm so honored today to have been here. And I honestly believe that this webinar would have not been as beautiful and very good as it was without the impact and your polls and your feedback as our audience as well. Tony, I'd also like to say thank you for the opportunity as well to you and your team. I truly appreciate it. This was absolutely beautiful. And let's just grow, continue forward. Beautiful things that have been touched on: mindset, visibility, connection, building relationships, all the healthy, good stuff. And so from myself, Ubalami, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys.